So we're going to start, Ismail, and before we do so, I would love it if you could maybe tell us a little bit, like, who are you shooting for? Just a little introduction of your life as a photographer.
So I am originally from Bangladesh. I am born and brought up in Dhaka, the capital, and I lived there until my early 20s, or mid 20s, and I moved to New York City about 8 years ago, and I had been working in photography, in documentary photography for the last 10 years. I mostly work on, editorial stories, documentary, long-term projects, reportage about social humanitarian stories or environmental, more like, some stories that could like have a social provoking connotation to it. So I worked with, major newspaper and magazines around the world, like, New York Times, National Geographic, New York Times Magazine, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg News, Star or El País. I'm also represented by an agency. I'm a member of Agence Vue in France. So in that way, like, I also work with a lot of French newspaper and magazine. And I think that's my introduction.
Sounds like the perfect career. As I said earlier, I've known your work for quite a long time, because it's not only outstanding work, but it really also stands out, as in, if you've seen your style, you kind of know it's yours. So people watching now will probably have seen your work around as well. So let's start with the first question, which I think is maybe the most difficult one, but I'm going to leave that up to you. What is your most important photograph? And you can make up yourself, like, what important is to you, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, when I was thinking about the questions you sent me, I feel like I'm too young to answer these questions.
Always good to feel young.
I'm too young in my career. I think if I would have been doing it for 20 years, I think that would have been perfect for me to answer this question. But I think these are very good questions and really made me self-reflect. And I think being honest is very important to these questions, So the first question is like, what is your important photograph? Photography as a whole, like, I think I've never been induced by the idea of like single pictures. I always have seen as a series or body of work of something I'm interested in. So I don't know if I've ever yet I have made my important pictures yet, but I'm going to show a picture which was not published and also vastly circulated, though it had a huge impact in my career, and which led me create one of my most important photography project, I would say, in my career. I'll show the picture first and then I will talk about it. It was never published anywhere, like in a magazine or newspaper. But I'm gonna talk about it. So this picture I've taken in very early in my career. So I graduated from business school around, I think it was 2011. And then I pursued photography as my career, kind of not like, knowing what to be exactly, because I didn't go to any photography school. So it was like first few years just to figure out that what kind of photography I'm interested in. And this picture I've taken in 2013, April 24th. A clothing factory collapsed in Bangladesh, outside of Dhaka. So the city I grew up, so it was like an hour drive to the place. And this picture was taken, I think in the evening, like around 9 p.m. And the collapse happened around noon. So I've already photographed it for several hours. But at some point, actually, I think later in the day, that the situation was so overwhelming because there's so many people were stuck in the collapsed site, in the rubbles, that the local government, like Bangladesh police and fire brigade and military, didn't have enough manpower and equipments to rescue people. So, and I've seen volunteers, rescuers, volunteers who are like, teachers, 9th grader students, homeless people, bus driver, they lived there, or like other garments worker, they came and to save people. So at some point I started helping also, because I felt like, I was not very sure that what I'm supposed to do. And I was a very young photographer at that time. Like I've been doing it for less than 2 years, even trying to figure out like my career in photojournalism. And I came to this picture. I took this picture because one of the volunteers showed me, though I was helping and I had my camera, and one of the volunteers asked me like, oh, would you come have a look at this? Like there's a couple embracing in the rubble. And I went there and I saw that moment, and I took 3 frames, I think, and I was very shaky and moved by the like that situation, because and I was also pondering as a photographer, how much influence do we have when we capturing images of deceased individuals, but I think that moment was sort of also like I had an epiphany that like, wow, it gave me an idea that I think I know the answer, that what I'm doing is the right thing, because my role is to take pictures and bring it to the world and show it to the people that what's happening. That is my contribution in this kind of situation and keep the
Exactly.
conversation going. Yeah, so like I kind of realized that that gave me a clear sense who I am as a photographer, like, you know, what is my role as a photographer, you know, and, you know, that definitely let me continue photographing the collapse, and I kept photographing for next 1 month.
Of the
And
at the site of the place where the building had
yes,
collapsed. Okay.
yes, because the rescue went on for a month, you know, and
What
yeah,
happened? What happened to the image? Because I have the feeling the whole world saw it, but you said it has not been published, right?
yeah.
So what
So
happened?
I think that should be a discussion for the next question. I'm just giving you a clue.
Oh, this is a cue. Okay, I have a second question. And by the way, the image, I'm going to ask my second question, but I just want to say that image, I don't even know how to say it. I wish I could say it in Dutch, but to me, it's more than an image. I love it. Like, it's a feeling, you know, everybody seeing this image understands the horror that this whole situation was. And I'm pretty sure there were many images that could have been taken that were more horrific to see, like more like gruesome, I don't know. But this image has such a softness to it that makes it so hard to look at. But that makes it the image it is. Like it's so strong because it has that soft part that everyone kind of recognizes, that is about love and caring, and yeah, everything is in the image. It's really remarkable and sad. So yeah, your biggest image failure or photo failure?
I think, yeah, I think, you know, I found that these two questions are intertwined and I can answer with the same image, you know? So, you know, I mean, I picked this image to answer that question. The second question, the biggest failure as an image, you know,
So
which I messed up.
Before you start, I'm wondering, can we pull up the image once more? Or did you on purpose put it away? Okay.
No, I don't know if people want to see this,
yeah, the reason I'm asking is, I don't know, it was a bit quick for me. Because interesting for me, I know the image very well, but when you just pulled it up now, I saw a lot of details I didn't remember, to be honest. So let's leave it on for a little bit, and we'll
sure. Yeah.
Quite hard. We'll take it out at a certain stage.
Actually, what I'm gonna okay. Yeah, let's make it. So, I picked this image also as one of the failure image in terms of answer the question, and because when I took this picture, I think I really did not understand, though it gave me a courage and influence to continue photographing this incident, like this tragic phenomena. And I ended up working on this project until now. But like I intensely worked until 2016. So I worked 3 years on many different scales or different ways to keep aware like to keep the awareness going about the project, and using different platform, using different possibilities that how image could keep engaging people, and how I can multitude the effect of the images I made, because I was not the only photographer who was working on that collapse. There are like maybe 20 or 30 other photographers have worked.
Yeah.
And I photographed, these deceased workers in the rubble for months. I photographed crippled, like people who lost their limbs and, injured. I photographed mass funerals. I've never seen that many dead bodies in my life before, not even in words. I mean, I think I photographed it before I covered war. I covered war afterwards in 2014, 15, 16. Last to Ukraine a little bit. But
last week, did you just say that?
no, I last war I photographed was Ukraine.
Yes.
Yeah, but in this case, like, after photographing like every day for 40 days since it happened in 2013, I was in my like I was in my studio, like every day I'm going through these pictures and thinking about not only like about their stories, but also thinking about what is the possibilities. And I as I said, I was very young in this industry at that time.
Yes.
But what is the possibilities of these pictures? What is the use of these pictures? What is the future of these pictures? What photography could do?
Because just to be clear, at that moment when you were shooting, it was none of the images were being published at that time. So you were trying.
So what happened, that first few days I photographed by myself. Like I just photographed it because I wanted to photograph it. And I always had interest in garment industry, like because I grew up in a city that when I will wake up and go for a walk, I will see like hundreds and thousands of women are going to work. It doesn't happen anymore because they take the factories out of the city. But I've seen like these women going to work, like a big line of women, like ants,
Yes. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, Dhaka is very populated. So
I've been there once. I couldn't believe it. I've traveled all over the world, but Dhaka is the one place I will never forget because of that.
Yeah. So yeah. So it was always back in my head that I want to do a project on that, because this is like in front of my eyes, and I have not seen any interesting stories coming out about that. And also that had been, I mean, still now is like the main contributor, that industry, to our GDP in Bangladesh, So it also has a big economical connections, to connect these dots of stories. And personally, my family, like means like my mom's side family had been involved in this industry for the last 20 years. So that also made me curious, kind of like I knew a lot of insights, but though I have seen always it as like, from like, outsider perspective, that, with that insider information, the questions I had. And with the event of Rana Plaza, it made me clear that it's a time that I want to do something on this, like in a longer form. And to answer your question about publish, yes, after third day, I think on the fourth day, I got an assignment for AP, and I think I was on assignment for 3 weeks, and the pictures got published all over the world from my AP work. But later on, all the images I made during that time, I was kind of really, unsettled that what to do, like what are the possibilities to bring the conversation going when it's not like the headline of the news anymore,
Yeah.
especially
After
when
all the press is gone, basically.
yes, and especially like it's such a contemporary issue. It's not only Bangladeshi issue. It connects with the consumerism. It connects with the East and West. How East produce for the West and exportation. It's a global issue. So those things I started like really really exploring and like digging deep into and finding more connections, and I came to New York for a workshop later that year, and I met a friend, now a colleague, who also was a student at the workshop, and we collaborated to end up making next steps with this picture. So I think I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to share a video quickly.
Last year, over 1,000 workers were killed. The Rana Plaza factory collapsed in Bangladesh. Workers around the world deserve safe working conditions. What is the cost of fashion?
Wow.
So
Amazing. Ismail, I didn't know about this. That's amazing.
yeah,
You did this.
yeah. So I did an activism. So we projected. I collaborated with the Illuminator, who is an activism group in New York City. They have a huge projector on a van, and they can project pictures onto walls and do activism. So I projected the images from the collapse which I photographed. Yeah.
So this was like guerrilla style. Is that the word? Like this wasn't. You didn't ask the local whatever municipality.
No,
You just
no.
projected it onto the building. Amazing.
And if I can post the link here, people can watch it
Please
later.
do. Please put it in the chat if you can. I would love to watch.
Yeah, because so projecting things, it's not violating law, but
Okay.
if you use loudspeaker, you're violating law in New York City. So what we did, we put a toll-free phone number you can call, and then you can hear the stories behind the pictures.
So, well done. What was the reaction? Like, what was people reacting?
I think the reaction was very, very strong. Like, I mean, I also started speaking with people, like talking to them when they're like, I was asking him, are you aware of this? Do you know about this, factory collapse, and a lot of people were like, actually, we're not aware of that. And some people I said, like, what do you think about this? And they say like, oh, well, I mean, this is life. Some people didn't hear, it's like, they are so disconnected. And that was really my point, that, when the big, like, publications and news medias are not interested to do these stories, and you have the pictures, how you actually can do things,
Yes.
and kind of like how you bring awareness and create a discussion, and I remember like when we did it on the first night of Fashion Week on Lincoln Center, the first part of the video you've seen. And after like 15 minutes, the NYPD came, they gave us ticket, they really like made us move, but we had plan B. So we went to another spot in Midtown in Manhattan, where the Children's Place, the brand, and we projected there because Children's Place is one of the brand who was producing clothes in Rana Plaza and was not paying compensation for the workers. So yeah, we changed our location on that. And I think I got really big reactions, like, later on, Columbia University asked me to give a talk about this like idea, like, why I did that. And, in journalism class, that, seeing it differently, like photojournalism using these pictures, so giving a life to them, in a different way, more engaging way, And later,
I think these kind of ways of storytelling, I teach a lot, as you probably know, and it's so like people tend to think of publications right away, students, photographers, like that's the holy grail to be published. But to do these kind of things where you really change the perception of people who are walking there, who think about this, you are engaging, you are in contact with the people who are passing by. I don't know, it's worth a lot, it's an amazing way of photography, of sharing images, of storytelling.
Yeah. And also you reach a certain kind of people, they maybe don't read news, they don't follow these things, they have no ideas, no idea about what's going on. I mean, I know so many people around who they don't know news, they don't read news, because oftentimes we live in such a bubble as we work in this industry. We think like everyone reads, everyone knows, everyone is aware, but not actually a lot of people are like, so I think I wanted to think that how I wanted to that has actually also a ripple effect of that image I made, that. And on the first anniversary of the collapse, I will also put this link in the chat. I will share this video quickly. Yes, so
there we go.
On the first anniversary of the collapse, April 2014, I made a opinion doc with the friend I collaborated in New York. We made a
take my camera and
so it's here. I'm giving my talking about the work I made. And
I started shooting again. I felt like these images should be the voice of these people who died. No one knows their story, how they survive making these clothes for first world country.
So, yes?
That's an off-topic question, but and I'm not allowed to ask more than 4 questions, but here we go. Do you feel anything has changed in this clothing industry after this happened?
I mean, this last month was 10 years anniversary. And I went back to Bangladesh in December, also to continue photographing, to see the changes. I mean, yes, things had changed, definitely had changed. We didn't have another Rana Plaza, or another Tazreen factory fire, which was in 2012, December, where like more than 100 people died in factory fire. but still a lot of improvement has to come. The salary went up, but I mean, it went up because, everything is expensive right now. But still, the quality of life of the workers are not improved, And also, if I really try to see the difference between 2013 and 2023, in terms of how the brands are behaving towards the producer, the factory owners, it's not actually better. It's even worse, because what they did, they thought like, okay, it's problematic to make clothes in Bangladesh. Now they started bringing them to Guatemala, some Central American countries. They moved to some African countries. They moved to Eritrea, Sudan, those areas that where they can create sweatshops. Also Southeast Asia, like they moved a lot of their business to Cambodia,
which doesn't
Vietnam.
help the people who were working in this industry, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so what is happening, they're still putting huge pressure to the producer, the factory owners in Bangladesh, to make it in a cheaper way. But they're also saying that, hey, you have to do worker safety, but you have to do it in this shoestring budget, like they're putting. And what happens that, yes, the factory owners are also they don't want to talk about it much, and it's a very sensitive topic. I interviewed the president of BGMEA, who is the head of Bangladesh Garment Export Association. They're complaining about the brands, and the workers are complaining about the factory owners. So the improvement, what has done, I would say that it's very minimal. Yes, but still it has been improved. And the awareness is more, I would say, than it used to be. People
also because of stories like yours. If you would not have brought things to, you made a whole project out of it in the end, instead of leaving after the news stopped. Well, it didn't stop, but after press went home again, you stayed to tell the story, which also helped. I'm curious, maybe I missed it, but what was the failure now? Like, you made a beautiful, where? Am I not missing the failure? Maybe I did, but.
Okay, no, I'm coming back to that. I think the conversation is kind of intertwined, not a very straightforward answer.
For a second, I thought the failure was that it wasn't published in some way, but you made it much bigger than that, right?
Yeah, so I would say as an image, so I will share.
And there are questions coming into the Q&A. Thanks everyone for doing that. Please feel free to share more. I will get to them, but first, we want to know what the failure was. I want to know what the failure was.
So,
I've never seen this one, I think. Oh, yeah.
This picture was of the same. There are three versions. Can you tell there are three versions of this picture?
By
this
you?
This is mine. No, this is mine.
Yeah.
This is by Shumon Paul. Another photographer photographed it, and this is by Taslim Akhtar. So everyone has this version of the pictures around the world. It was the cover of Time magazine the next week, I think, from the collapse. It was the most viewed cover of Time magazine as of now.
Really?
I think it is, yes. And the photographer of this picture is Taslim Akhtar, and photographer of this picture is Shumon Paul. I think he photographed these early in the morning, which is like maybe, I don't know the exact time. He said like the collapse happened on 24th, 10 in the morning. And he photographed it on 25th, like maybe 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I suppose, and this picture, which is being distributed all over the world and published in, I think it was also one Wall Press Photo, Picture of the Year, was, I think she had taken maybe around midnight. I don't know exact timing. I tried to find out, but I know the other photographer's one. But then I realized, like really investigating these 3 pictures, that actually I was the one who photographed it first among 3, because if you really see, there is no tear on the man, like blood tears on that man's face.
Yes.
Here you can see it, and also it's very clear,
Yes.
you know. And you know, I'm saying that it's as a failure because imagine the same frame you have taken, and everyone thinks that that's your pictures when I've seen your picture, you know.
It's interesting because the picture, your picture, that is the one I know, but I know it because I know you, so I know that's yours. But I also thought that I saw yours published, so I'm guessing more people think this, that it's one picture. I mean, the other one looks very different, but these 2 look quite similar. But I knew,
so
the one I know is yours, but it's because I know your work and the light you use, because it's different as well. But
I mean, I think I'm saying it was a failure because I took only 3 frames and 2 of them was shaking. You know, there was the only good frame, and I used like a flashlight, torchlight. You know, maybe I was not experienced enough to kind of process this kind of, you know, moments like deceased bodies, and also thinking about what is the, you know, what I'm going to do with this picture, you know, all these questions, because and the other thing was that I was not well connected to the photo world, you know. I didn't know how to distribute this picture, you know. And I heard that the photo editor of Time magazine at that time spoke about Taslima Akhtar's pictures, which was he saw it on her Facebook, and they met a month before somehow in a festival, and he asked her to photograph it for Time, and then Time, you know, like publish it as a cover photo story for the week. And you know, then like, you know, definitely, you know, being in that position, like then I was like, oh, it's a strong picture, but like, you know, but you know, then you send the picture for a competition or like, you know, but it was actually officially was not ever published. And like at the same time these pictures was getting all the awards, you know, that put me in a very interesting position. And like, you know, I was like, you know, it's not, I would say this picture technically better than mine, you know, like, you know, I think it's well composed, well lit, you know. My one is like, also there's a black cloth on the left, which I also didn't want to move because it was like that. So I just really didn't want, because, you know, there was a very strange, when I look at this picture, feeling that, because, you know, when you're in front of like this kind of moment, like deceased bodies, like you have so much power with the camera, you know, and they were human, and you can like, you know,
and
like, I was like doing it. So I was very hesitant, you know, but I would not say that it was a complete failure, but it had maybe like I had a feeling that I did not take it well, you know, I didn't capture it well, you know. And
I think the fact that you were in your first or almost second year of photographing and not being well connected, like you said, that's interesting. Looking back at my own career as well, some of the images I took in the first years, I would say are my better images, but no one has ever seen them because they didn't get published. I think for your image as an image itself, I really actually like the fact that the woman is not fully shown here. I don't know, to me it adds a bit to the sensitive moment it is, or like the sad and sensitive moment. I can imagine that, I don't know, like so many people were just would have been shocked by either three of these images. It's the one that got the attention that, that then people saw more of that image. But this image later on was published, right?
Only in like, you know, in my portfolios, I think.
Yeah, like in interviews and
yeah, or like maybe at the New York Times videos, but not as a single image or not published in print. But at some point, actually, I also didn't want to really promote this picture. Like when it came to the, like, you know, like I was showing my portfolio about Rana Plaza, you know, because I kind of wanted to get out of the concept of this is the pictures is everything, you know, because I keep moving on with other ideas, other possibilities with this idea. So I
do think, even though you tried that, I still think everyone who knows you took this picture. So somehow, like really, like everyone who's like, hi, and you say your name, I think this is the picture people will know, besides the series you've worked on. I don't know, it did become that, I think. So somehow just having a publication is not what makes that happen, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I have many, apart from that, I have many like failure projects. Like I would say, like, as it was one image, I wanted to mention that, like, you know, so many undone projects, like so many things I thought is very interesting and I wanted to do, like, you know, and then I moved on, and then like, you know, when I'm in the middle of the project, I was like, it's really not panning out, you know. So those never seen the ray of light, you know, like, you know, I think which is fine, which is a way of growing as a photographer. It's a way of learning and finding your perception of photography, and like what actually you are interested. I believe the work we do, it reflects in your work, and you curate them out. You don't show everything. You don't, because I think if I made like 10 attempts, I have made maybe 2 or 3 successful projects, you know. So, and those failures, I take that as a good lesson for my next steps, you know.
That's really beautiful. I think I can learn from that, I'm sure, because for me sometimes it's difficult to get to not get demotivated. I know with a lot of colleagues it's the same way. It's one of the main discussions we always have, like if you really think your story is good or you really like it, and then it's difficult to find a publication for it, it's like, this is going to be my last project, I'm not ever doing this again, because you put your whole heart in it. Well, you know what that's like, I guess. But
and I want to add a little bit more to this, because I was
time. Oh my goodness, David's going to get angry at us, but okay, no, let's go. Okay,
I'm gonna go do it 1 minute.
No, I want
so to, like, you know, not to just rely on like traditional ideas of publication, I would suggest people to look up what I have done in 2015 with the same idea. I'm gonna share my screen and give the links quickly. That it's called After Rana Plaza. So I look back to the situation and I went to meet all the survivors, not all the survivors, many of the survivors. Well, like, you know, I interviewed them and photographed them for a year. And it was supported by the Dutch government. to continue this project. And later on, it won the first Getty Instagram grant, which was like, innovative storytelling. So I have like the whole dedicated like standalone Instagram, which I created in 2015, where you can actually engage with the stories of the people. And then this is also was not published anywhere. So I was using the different like,
yeah, but what is being published? You have 45,000 followers, so you did publish it.
Exactly. So not in it, like I didn't wait that someone would pay attention and publish it, Okay. You can go on with the next questions.
Okay, we have 8 minutes. No, I'm kidding. We'll go a little bit over time. I'm very happy actually with the answers you are giving, because a lot of the answers you're giving gives, first of all, a lot more insight into who you are as a photographer, but I think it's very helpful as well for photographers who are watching, especially young or new photographers to the industry, to kind of know that when you dive into a project, you just have to keep going, and that's how the most beautiful things are made, or the most thoughtful things are made. So what is your third question? Well, the third question, what is your dream image or story? And it doesn't have to be like a real thing you really will make or want to make, or it can be outrageous, like whatever, a story on Mars or.
I think there are many ideas, I mean, there are many things I would love to do. Well, I mean, I would love to do some nonfiction work, I guess, I mean, fiction work. The more I'm like, thinking about the whole idea of photography, the whole sum of photography, I'm not just interested to limiting myself as a photojournalist and doing nonfiction work. I'm also curious, about the books I read as a child, or the stories I was interested. As a child, I want to go back there and kind of maybe create images, if it's ever possible, of the things I read of my favorite writers, and also I think that will give that definitely that will serve my curiosity, that how I imagine or saw the pictures when I read the book, as a child, and how I would like to bring it to a real image. And also it's interesting for me to kind of going like back in time and being contemporary, because I'm very curious about culture and what is I am a byproduct of. So why, like, I'm very much interested in investigating Bengali culture lately, and which is like bringing me to the imaginations of like making images that how the transformation had happened from the early 1900s and now. I don't know if it doesn't make any sense, but it's something that I dream about, to make images of, and I'm more curious about, I feel like I came into photography through a door of photojournalism and documentary photography, but I think I'm curious more than that. I want to explore the other parts of photography. So,
that's interesting, because I think in your style of work, and please everyone check out his Instagram, for instance, or website. Well, Instagram I think would be the best, right? Or
the website. I mean, website is down, but my agency, Agents View, has my work.
Everyone who doesn't know your work should go check it out right away. But I am already, that's what you already see in your work, that contemporary kind of dreamy, I mean, the things you photographed in the last years were like news or related to current issues or but the style was not that kind of typical style that photojournalists have. It's more contemporary, dreamy in some way, I would say, as a style.
Yeah, I think I'm always curious about, I mean, thank you, very kind words. It makes me feel like, you know, I'm not like, you know, losing, like, you know, getting lost in the ethos, rather like, you know, it gives some, you know, like, you know, keeping it fresh and seeing things differently. I mean, I think what I'm trying to usually show of something I'm photographing is like something I like to see in a fresher way, you know, and it's a constant battle. It's a constant effort, like, you know, and
Yeah, it is. This whole career can be a battle. Someone's asking if you could put your Instagram into the chat. And while you do that, I'm going to wait with my fourth question, but I'm going to move to the Q&A. There are two questions in there. Let me just give them a quick read. Nice. Okay. So, Ismail, there is an anonymous attendee asking a great question. What are the first steps in starting a career in photojournalism? Is it as simple as just picking a story and shooting it? I'm very curious what you're going to say.
I think for me, picking a story, the process of picking a story is the most interesting part. Because if you're picking a story, why are you picking a story? What actually makes you picking that story? And who are you picking it for? And are you really convinced that this is the story you wanted to tell? So when are you picking a story, when you're choosing a topic, I think that should be a reflection of your interest, something you're curious about, something you like to explore, you would like to even discover for, like, you know, your own sake, that, hey, you know, this is, because if you try to do a story because everyone would like to, you know, publish or buy this story, I think there is a lack of honesty and originality. I always believe whatever I like to do is I'd like to convince myself before I pursue that as a story or as a project. So I think this is very important. And I don't know where you are in your career, but, like, you know, I mean, definitely I prefer like checking out that other, you know, masters or good photographers or like people, or even young photographers, what are they making, and like really studying people work would really give you perspective about how to create a photo narrative in photojournalism. I think taking just individual good pictures doesn't actually give you a place that you really sustain as a photographer, because this is a very competitive and it's a creative field. Oftentimes we think that the topic is the main thing, but you have to execute. Like people say, like, you know, the story is very important, very strong. I'm like, all right, so where is the picture? Because sometimes the stories are amazing, then that should be a written story. So photo story, it's the story you are telling with the visuals. So you really have to be, you know, good with your visuals. And I mean, you have to really be good at that. You know, I'm not talking about that, but then let's talk about how you pick your topic. You know, that's the process.
I also think the picking of a topic, with all the beautiful things you just said, totally agree. one thing I would add, if you are not interested in a story you are starting, you're going to be in trouble, because you might be working on it for a year or 2 years or 12 years or 6 years. And you need, the energy has to come from within. So if you are only slightly bored by the story you want to tell, it's not the right story. You have to be heavily invested. Like, you have to really be interested in whatever you're gonna shoot. So yeah. Okay, let's go to the next question. Are there any actions? It's a question from Luca. Are there any actions you took in your career, or maybe photos you took, that you regret? And what did you learn from that experience?
Oh, very good question.
Interesting.
Wow.
Actions or photos. So it can also be something you've done, maybe an editor you didn't speak to or did speak to, or portfolio review that.
Oh, I fucked up a lot of portfolio reviews. I did fuck up a lot of portfolio reviews because I didn't know. Like, you know, what to show. Like, I like, to whom, you know, like at the beginning of my career. I actually can't think of anything I really regret, but I mean, I messed up things, you know. I messed up portfolio reviews. Or maybe I didn't know how to present the work, you know. And I'm talking about, because I didn't go to, like, I didn't really know. I didn't have a formal education when I started it, you know. So, like, I think I've been doing it for 10 years, but maybe first 4 years is like, you know, hundreds of mistakes I made, you know. But I know, but not like something I photographed and I regret, you know, because few things I'm always aware of, I believe, as of now, that the work I'm making is not going to create harm to anyone, you know. And I spend most of my time making work about people's situation and conditions, and being in vulnerable situations when other people are vulnerable. So there's like a very very big portion is sensitivity, and I think I'm very aware of that. So in that case, I mean, I did not say, like, in that sense, that I would not say that I have any regret that work I made so far, you know. And that, like, you know, maybe I should have, I feel like I should have been more, like, proactive to promote my work sometimes. But also, I don't believe that idea completely, because everything has its own time, and it needs to grow, you know. You can expedite it. And I'm not saying it that I'm doing photography for like 10 years, for 5 years, for 12 years. It's a lifelong journey. And as long as I find it interesting and, like, you know, I'm growing. So I can't think of any really specific regrets.
That's good. Maybe. And also, I mean, failure in that sense doesn't maybe even exist, because, yeah, I've made tons of mistakes, but from all of them, I know it's a cliche, but you really learn. You're like, okay, so next time I'll do it in another way, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, Ismail, we're at the last question, which is, what would be your advice to your younger self? Any advice?
Yeah, I kind of found it, you know, tricky. I think I would have said
tricky in which way? Why tricky? Why is this a tricky question?
Because, you know, when I started, because that was a kind of one-way road for me, you know, because I went to business school, and I really did not want to work in business. So my my world evolved around photography when I started. Like everything, my like I was like eating, sleeping, and thinking everything is like photography. But then I like when I kind of felt like little like situated, I try to connect with other things more, but I mean so it's a bit tricky that like I gave always more than 100%, I would say, like when I started, but I would have said to myself as a young one that maybe I should have been focusing on more the philosophical part of photography at the beginning. But also, I think it has to come with the time and the environment you are in, because growing up in Dhaka, we didn't really have a lot of, we have one photo school at that time, and but we didn't have a really like, in just like in New York, like we didn't have a lot of photo exhibition going on, or I think still the newspaper and magazines in Bangladesh doesn't have a photo editor, and the photography job was very, like for a newspaper and magazine, photo job was very not well paid or well respected, so I had to find ways to get myself out and make a living, out of this. So maybe I missed out a lot of philosophical part of it because I was learning and making work and making living, which I'm very aware of now. I'm more interested exploring that. And also maybe, if I'm telling to a younger myself, like, also like, really spend more time watching cinema and a lot of silent movies, I would say. Definitely, the city lights like Charlie Chaplin and all these things are, I think, very important to just grow or diversify your visual mind. And I was also I think when I started, I was very focused in documentary photography and photojournalism. Maybe now if I give an advice to myself, I would like even go wider than that. Just not to look into it, because it's a very specific type of photography we talk about, which is really important, which is really, really important. But I'm also curious that what others has to say in this industry, what other has to contribute. And, I think knowing photography in general in a broader perspective will give you even better perspective what you're doing, the niche you are following,
I think that's a good lesson, not only to yourself, but to everyone listening in here, including myself. Basically, to take more time, not rush too much, and keep your eyes open for other parts of this photo industry. To stay curious, basically, I would
absolutely.
Well, Ismail, thank you so much for sharing all that you did and your beautiful image that was not a failure at all in any way, I would say. Thanks for trying to
I'm glad.
put it in that category. Thanks so much to you and to everyone who was watching. And please check out the 7 Insider website for upcoming events. And follow Ismail's beautiful work on his Instagram. So thanks Ismail for sharing everything, and I hope to see you soon somewhere. Thank you.
Good to talk to you, and thanks everyone for coming. I hope you had my some experience, and I hope it does something for you.
I'm sure it does.
And very lovely to see you, Ilvy. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'll see you soon in New York.
Hope so, or Arl, or anywhere in the photo world. It was really good seeing you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.